Now, different political parties have weighed in on the sacking of the National Police Commissioner, Khehla Sitole, with many welcoming the move. A short while ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa told journalists that he had to follow due processes before the commissioner's contract could be terminated. Ramaphosa faced criticism for taking time in action against Sitole. For more reaction from this and from political parties, I'm now joined by Herman Mashaba, who is the Action SA leader, and will soon be joined by Andrew Whitfield, who is the DA spokesperson for police, via our Zoom link. So let's start then with Herman Mashaba. Tate Mashaba, thank you so much for your time this morning. So we do know now the situation that we find ourselves in. We heard the president saying that he needed to follow due processes. Let's first start off with your initial reaction to when we heard the news of the sacking of Khehla Sitole.
Well, I think, good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. I think President Ramaphosa will never really take us as South Africans, treat us with respect. I think, honestly and truly, I think let's really face reality. He believes we are fools, that we can just accept. Over 300 people died during that 8 days in July. Over 50 billion rands of businesses destroyed. The majority of them are today unable to resuscitate themselves and to come back into business. Takes him so long to fire the Commissioner of Police. This matter has got, I can assure you, it's got nothing to do with the 8 days in July. It's got to do with the factional squabbles within the ANC, because obviously it's a known secret that General Sitole has always been regarded as one of the RET forces, and obviously he's now dealing with his issues within his own political parties, because President Ramaphosa, from day one when he took over office, he's made it very clear to all of us as South Africans that it's ANC first, South Africa third, if not really fourth. So, and he's really demonstrating this. If he's serious about what he has really done, I would really request, and I think as a Section SA, we're going to write to the Speaker of Parliament for the President to actually disclose the kind of packages that is given to General Commissioner Sitole to move. Because I can tell you, you cannot expect anyone who you are claiming was responsible for the loss of over 300 South Africans and 50 billion rands of damage. You have a handshake, a mutual settlement. What is that? If ever Commissioner Sitole was at fault, you fire him immediately with no settlement whatsoever. But I had the president yesterday, in fact, congratulating him for the services he's rendered to South Africa. This obviously takes me back to, reminds me of how he treated a Minister of Health, Kize, someone who admitted having stolen the PPE monies, and he says to us he's headed a mutual settlement. I think it's honestly, it's to really take us for fools. And if he does so believe, unfortunately, it's got wrong. Us as South Africans, we are going to hold him accountable. We want to really know the reasons behind the sacking of Commissioner Sitole.
Yeah, quite concerning issues that you raised there, Mr. Mashaba. I'd like to bring into the conversation now Andrew Whitfield, the DA spokesperson for police. He joins us via our Zoom link. Andrew, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So your initial reaction really when we heard about the sacking of the police commissioner, and isn't it quite concerning that we haven't had a national police commissioner in years that has been able to complete their term?
Absolutely. I mean, so obviously we welcome the removal of General Sitole, but like your previous speaker, we're extremely concerned about the conditions under which he was removed by mutual agreement. When there's a damning judgment that has found that the National Police Commissioner has breached his duties, along with other senior management in SAPS, we have a number of charges that have been laid against the National Police Commissioner by IPID. He has clearly failed in his duties over the years. And you know, the only way out of this, unfortunately, was to get rid of him. But in order to settle, there must have been a golden handshake. And this is something that, as the official opposition who actually occupy seats in Parliament, we will be pushing extremely hard to get the answers for through the correct parliamentary channels. It cannot be that the people of South Africa are left defenseless on the streets while SAPS has continued to fail them in providing the basic constitutional security that they're entitled to, and it's simply swept under the carpet as to what the reasons were why the National Police Commissioner was in fact removed. We know that the National Police Commissioner was starting to fight back against allegations that he was the one who instructed the procurement of the spy grabber technology prior to Nasrec, and he started pointing fingers at former Police Minister Fikile Mbalula, which points to clear factional politics in the South African Police Service, which reflects the current turmoil in the African National Congress. And we simply cannot countenance any political interference in the SAPS, and that is why we don't believe that the President should stop at Sitole. He needs to go after Minister Khehla if we are really to reset and overhaul the South African Police Service to restore credibility and trust in our men and women in blue.
Now, we do know, Mr. Mashaba, that the issue, of course, around, he just mentioned, Andrew just mentioning, that the President must go as well after Khehla. But we know that there have been infightings there as well between the two men. Your response really to the infighting that we have seen between the two of them, but also the situation of the due processes that the President says he needed to follow. You both are now talking about the issue of the handshake or what he was actually given for this process to come to an end. But what is the issue really when it comes to the fighting that happens within the police?
Well, I think what due process? If you've had 300 lives lost, South Africa today, we lose lives every single day. South Africa loses plus minus 60 people murdered on a daily basis for years. We are known all over the world to be the capital, the murder capital of the world. Look at right now with the war in Ukraine and Russia. They don't lose the number of people who die violently than South Africa. We lose more lives than countries at war. So the failure of our criminal justice system is not something that just really started in July, the 8 days in July. It's been a symptom of ANC infighting for many years, putting incompetent people in positions of power. How do you have the Minister of Police Dele, who even Jacob Zuma himself could not really keep him in office? You remember when he was a Commissioner of Police, how he left office. But how President Cyril Ramaphosa can actually take a man like that who's compromised, put him as a Minister of Police? You know, this shows total disrespect to South Africa. Look at now the current Speaker of Parliament, who was the Minister of Defense. What did he say when this insurrection happened? In fact, including defying the President, now promoted to the Speaker of Office. Someone who was involved in human trafficking, using state resources. Today, the Speaker of Parliament. You know, I mean, you can go on and on about really what the ANC has compromised the criminal justice system in this country over the last 28 years. That's why we are the murder capital of the world. We are the rape capital of the world. You know, every time you go around, you look at our men and women in particular out there, and the whole world is very much aware about this. And President Cyril Ramaphosa surrounded himself with the very same people who, remember when he took over, he spoke about the 9 wasted years. Now, what is happening now? Here today we can talk about the 6th silent years, because he is now really, this country is run on an autopilot. He's brought all the people who were with Jacob Zuma. They are in Parliament holding all senior positions. His cabinet, 80-90% of the people in his cabinet are the very same people who served with Jacob Zuma with what he calls the 9 wasted years. So what does he really take us for in addressing these matters properly? We demand him to actually share with us whether it's going to happen now. 2024, it's around the corner. The investigation will one day reveal what package or handshake was given to Commissioner Sitole. And now, tell me, who are they going to put? Another comrade? Because they are known all the time for putting people who have got questionable backgrounds in very serious positions of power. It's not really about you and I, South Africans. It's about the unity of the ANC. And they are talking about something that they will never achieve. ANC unity is something that can never happen. I've said this many times before. ANC is a 109-year-old organization with spare parts that are not available. So there's no way you can ever repair the ANC.
Yeah. Andrew, you know, Herman speaks about the issue of who do they put next. We have often heard that a national commissioner needs to be someone that has once been within the police force. We saw Ria Piecha, she also did not complete her term. Now we're seeing also with this police commissioner, General Khehla Sitole, also not completing his term. What would it take for a police commissioner to complete their term? And I mean, the issue of them being within the police rank is quite an important one, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, we've had more than half a dozen national police commissioners since 1994. I think only one of them finished their term in the 90s. And ever since then, we've had the continual political interference by the ANC in the South African police service. And we don't need to lecture South Africans about how bad the ANC is. I think they know that from their own painful personal experience. But we do know that the ANC has become a criminal enterprise, and you simply cannot have a criminal enterprise interfering in the very service that's supposed to protect us and arrest the criminals. And so what has to happen, and let's focus on the solutions, on the way forward. Now, the Constitution gives the President the right to hire the National Police Commissioner, to appoint the National Police Commissioner, but there's nothing stopping the President from appointing a high-level panel of experts who come from a policing background, both from civil society, academia, potentially the judicial system, a group of very talented and experienced and credible individuals who can both shortlist, screen, interview, and recommend to the President who the next National Police Commissioner is, so that we can ensure that there is no political interference in the appointment process. What we do know through the DA's efforts to get the Cadre Deployment Committee minutes is that senior officials in government are appointed effectively by the ANC. And I am confident that when we get access to the minutes when President Ramaphosa was presiding over the deployment committee, we will see that General Khehla Sitole was in fact recommended by President Ramaphosa, which is why it's been so hard for him to make a decision on how to remove him, and potentially why they've come to some mutual agreement, because it wasn't simply President Zuma who appointed him in the first instance. It was the ANC Deployment Committee under President Ramaphosa. And that suspicion, I believe, will play out when we get those minutes. We will see the truth for ourselves in black and white. And we will, in Parliament, the DA will, as the official opposition, get those answers on the golden handshake. We will get those answers for the South African public, because they deserve to know how a National Police Commissioner is appointed and how they are fired. So the way forward is to make sure that there is a panel of experts that recommends to the President who the next National Police Commissioner is. And then beyond that, we need to actually amend the Constitution ultimately to ensure.
All right, we've just lost our link there to Andrew with a frozen picture. Now, Herman, we do know that his contract comes to an end at the end of March. What then can we expect to take place after that?
Well, unfortunately, with our experiences with President Cyril Ramaphosa in particular and the ANC, we know they're going to put another cadre there to take care of their own personal interest, because they know if they put in a competent professional police men or women, they know that half of them, more than half of them, are going to land in jail. So the only way to protect themselves, they have to get a compromised someone as a commissioner of police. That's why I agree with my colleague. Let him, if he's serious about actually the safety of South Africans, let him get a panel that can assist him in identifying a competent professional policeman to really head the police the force in this country. But one thing for sure, it's not going to happen under Cyril Ramaphosa. That is given. The only ways the ANC can continue looting this country, can allow the sovereignty of this country and our safety compromise is to put in a compromise cadre. So that is given, whether we like it or not, until 2024, when us as South Africans can remove them from power and actually put in a proper professional police. And I think, you know, for me, some of the things that I believe, as much as we claim our constitution is one of the best in the world, and I agree, but there are certain changes that are needed, more especially with the appointment of our law enforcement agencies. Look at what's happening with the NPA. Look at what's happening with the WOCs. I think we need to bring back the Scorpions and give them more powers. And I think the head of the Scorpions, when we bring them back after 2024, it must be someone who's actually elected or appointed by the public, not by the president.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the constitution of our country in 1996, when it was adopted, it was actually structures around Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to have Nelson Mandela being as a credible, ethical leader forever. They did not realize that, in fact, even Nelson Mandela himself was not aware that his organization, when they were in jail, was taken over by criminal enterprise. So we need constitutional changes. For us as Action SA, we believe we don't want to interfere with our criminal justice system. We believe in the rule of law.
Yeah.
And the heads of our criminal agencies cannot be appointed by the president.
Okay. Andrew, I just want to bring you back here just to complete your initial thought and just your final words for us.
Yes, thanks. So, I mean, effectively, the final thought when I froze was that we need to make sure that we remove the ANC and the presidency from having any sort of unilateral authority over the appointment of the next National Police Commissioner. That's the only way to restore credibility, trust, and integrity back into the SAPS. And in order to build a professional police service, we have to have a professional police officer at the top of that command structure. So going forward, the DA is going to be advocating for that change. We're going to be advocating to ensure that there is a process that is followed, that involves the public, that involves experts, to make sure that we get the best fit for purpose police officer for the job, for the top job. And we're going to be pushing for Minister Khehla to be removed. And that will be the ultimate test of whether the president is serious or not, because Khehla ultimately still thinks he's the National Police Commissioner. And so whoever gets appointed next, unfortunately the minister has developed so many bad habits that he will continue to interfere with the role of the next National Police Commissioner.
Andrew Whitfield, the DA spokesperson for police, joining us via our Zoom link. Thank you so much for your time. Herman Mashaba, Action SA leader, thank you for your time too, sir, joining me in studio. Just really talking around the issue of the reaction of the sacking of General Khehla Sitole, the National Police Commissioner.